Hello, this is your friend, your brother, the barrister at love, coming your way once again with inspirational messages. And this time around, they are coming in the form of mathematics. And I've captioned it Biblical Inspirations Expressed in Mathematical Equations. Now, these are 10 laws I've written over the years, and I've compiled them now just to bless you once again. But before I even start with the equations, I'd like to thank you very much for liking, sharing, and viewing all videos I share on social media. It is actually very inspiring to know that people are actually reading, people are actually watching and listening to what I do. God bless you, and thank you once again. Okay, let's quickly run through them. Note, all the equations will be appearing in red, and the various parameters or variables will be explained accordingly. The very first one is F equals K times P, where F equals future, P represents your present, and K represents your attitude, which is also the constant of proportionality in the above equation. Now, this equation is emphasizing the fact that it is true that be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap, as said in Galatians chapter 6 verse 7. It is very true that your attitude with which you approach life in this current or in this present will have influence on how your life may turn out in the future. So, like stated mathematically, your future is directly proportional to your present, where the constant of proportionality is your attitude towards life. Okay, so let's quickly move on to formula or equation number 2. This one has to do with victory, and it's one thing I'm sure we all aspire to attain. Victory is influenced by various characters or various parameters as expressed in the equation above. G, which represents grace, H, which represents hope, W, which represents work, F, which represents fear. Note, F here is greater than 0 because nobody has actually recorded 0 degree of fear. We all face a bit of fear, but the victors are the ones that overcome them. So the equation is telling us that if you want to be victorious, if you want to be successful, 1, you rely on God's grace. 2, you work. 3, you don't give up, you always hang on hope. And 3, you reduce your fear to the minimal, or the least as possible. And that is how it's expressed in the equation above. V equals G times bracket open W times H over F bracket closed. And as inspired by Proverbs chapter 6 verse 6, go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Okay, let's move to question number 3. Now, this appears quite scary with lots of parameters. And one thing it tells me is that in this life, there will be challenges, and they may appear very scary and very difficult to overcome. But there's one thing you need to do. Anytime you face any challenge that you think is very huge or unsurmountable, just relax and you'll be surprised. The solution is something very simple. All the expressions you are seeing, W equals G, P plus small p plus R plus S, L exponent F times B, you notice that when B equals 0, all the others will run to 0. Yes, when B equals 0, the entire equation runs to 0. So it means that the only variable we are required to input in order to win any wrestle in life is B. Now, this is inspired by the scripture below, Matthew chapter 21 verse 22. And all things, note, all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive. Note that believing ye shall receive is B, because B in the equation represents belief after prayers. Okay, and all the other parameters can be seen in Ephesians chapter 6 verse 12. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, whatnot. Yes. Okay, so that's the third equation. So we move to the fourth. Alright, this is very straightforward, and it's in connection with realizing your dream, reducing your dream to reality. And this equation equals R equals G times bracket open D over H times E bracket closed. R represents reality, D represents dream, H represents hope, E represents effort, and G, as usual, represents grace. Now, to reduce your dream to reality, you just keep your hope alive, never relent in your positive effort, which is the E, and most importantly, pray for God's grace, as expressed in the equation above. And this, I got this inspiration January 1, 2016, and it was from Colossians chapter 1, verse 27. To whom God would make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. So the hope is very important, because if you give up, there's no way you can attain or you can reduce that dream to a reality. Okay, let's move on. Now to the fifth law, which is very simple. P equals T to bracket A plus B, where P is peace, T is truth, A is party A, and B is party B. Now, when you want to solve a problem between two parties, the simple equation you can apply is this. And all you have to do is that you factorize out T, which is the truth, as shown in the equation above, and make peace the subject, as P is the subject in the equation above. Yes, it is that simple. When two people are arguing about something, when two people are at loggerheads and you want to settle the issue, all you have to do is listen to both sides of the issue and make sure you focus on the truth, and you make P the subject, where P is peace. Your concentration is peace, getting peace out of the situation, and not making someone win over someone, but getting peace out of the situation by relying on the truth, or focusing on the truth. Alright, sixth law. Okay, this is very simple. D equals small a times F, and it has to do with the measurements of love. And you know, I'm very passionate about love, and this equation really was inspired by Ephesians chapter 4 verse 2. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. Now, you notice that D, which is degree of love, A, which is ability to love again, and F, the level of forgiveness, is expressing one simple thing. It means the degree of your love, D, is directly proportional to your level of forgiveness, with your ability to love again as the constant of proportionality. So, in other words, we can only know you can love if you are able to forgive and love again. And don't ask me how many times you are supposed to forgive. You forgive until there's no more sin. We keep forgiving. So this, the sixth law, D equals A times F. Let's move on quickly. Alright, so we dive into the seventh law, J equals, and let me say that the sigma there is just expressing the range or the limits from negative infinity to positive infinity, and we are talking about presence and absence of love. What this equation is trying to say is that In the presence or absence of love, joy increases or reduces respectively. So we are relating joy and love in this equation. So where joy increases, where love increases, joy increases. Where love reduces, joy reduces. As simple as that. Okay. Alright, so we move on to the eighth, and S equals DF times D, where DF is faithful distribution, D is dependency, S is God's supply. Now, I got this inspiration when I noticed one thing about my life. I have a lot of people, let me say, that depend on me, for want of a better word, that I support, not necessarily with respect to money or finances, but in so many various ways. And I noticed that I never run out of what I'll need to meet their need, because one principle is working, and that principle is what I have expressed above, that regardless of the number of people who depend on you, God can supply you with enough to meet their need, provided you distribute the supply faithfully. Provided you distribute the supply faithfully. And this expression was inspired by Ephesians 4:19. But my God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. Alright, so move on straight to the ninth law. And this I posted recently, March 12, 2017. And it's in connection with your level of awareness of what is in you and what you are not supposed to fear. And just as 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 expresses, for God had not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love. So basically, God has given you the spirit of power and of love and of sound mind. Now, if you input all these things and you neglect fear, there's no way you fail. And that is what the equation above is trying to express. K equals 1 over F, times P plus L plus SM. And it's reduced down to K equals beta over F, where F represents fear. So once you overcome the spirit of fear, you realize that beta also increases and directly influences your ability to overcome every challenge. And let's go to the last but not the least equation, which was posted 16th May 2017. Now, this equation has to do with giving and love in general. You realize that giving out of sympathy is love, but it gets better the more you do it out of empathy. And when the act is done with a sacrificial thought, love reduces to zero, regardless of the magnitude of the act. And this was inspired by this scripture, 2 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 7. Every man according as purposed in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. So what Larkai's 10th law of life is trying to say is that, and this is more about calculus, with integrations and all. When you find the integral of A, which is the act, we need the limits of E and S, where E is empathy and S is sympathy. I think it should have been the other way around, where E is empathy and S is sympathy. You realize that true love is being manifested. Okay, so these are the 10 laws I've written so far, and I hope it blessed you. Thank you very much for making time to watch and listen to these equations explained. God bless you.